Welcome to the Daily Current Affairs Quiz by CivicCentre IAS. So the first question here is in the context of the International Day of Forests of 2025, and it is a three-statement question. See, the International Day of Forests observed on 21st March annually since 2012 is an UN-declared initiative promoting global awareness about the value of the forests. So the 2025 theme Forests and Food draws attention to the role of forests in ensuring nutritional security and sustainable agriculture. Hence, the first statement is correct. So, complementing this, India has adopted several policies and schemes. The Green India Mission, which is part of the NAPCC, promotes afforestation, agroforestry, and ecosystem services, including the livelihood enhancement. So, even the second statement is correct. Furthermore, the National Agroforestry Policy of 2014 seeks to integrate trees into the farming systems for climate resilience and nutrient-focused agriculture. Then the Pradhan Mantri Van Dhan Yojana, launched by TriFed, empowers the tribal communities through minor forest produce-based enterprises, but does not deal with the fire monitoring. So the third statement is wrong, and the correct answer is option A, which is 1 and 2 only. Now moving on to the second question, this talks about the Prashad scheme, which stands for Pilgrimage Rejuvenation and Spiritual Heritage Augmentation Drive. See, the Prashad scheme launched by the Ministry of Tourism aims to develop infrastructure at pilgrimage sites across India in a sustainable, inclusive and integrated manner. So rather than promoting religious practices, it concentrates on improving the tourism experience through the facilities such as cleanliness systems, CCTV surveillance, parking areas, tourist facilitation centers, and sound and light shows. Furthermore, a notable component of the scheme is eco-sensitive approach, including the deployment of solar energy systems and the solid waste management systems to ensure environmentally responsible tourism. Hence, both statements are correct, and the correct answer is option C, which is both 1 and 2. So the scheme also supports livelihood creation, skill development and universal accessibility, especially benefiting the marginalized and the vulnerable groups. As of 2025, 48 projects have been sanctioned across 27 states or union territories, making it a key initiative in strengthening pilgrimage-based tourism in India. So the third question here talks about the Armed Forces Special Powers Act. The Armed Forces Special Powers Act of 1958 grants extraordinary powers to the armed forces personnel in disturbed areas to assist in civil administration in maintaining law and order. Under APPSC, officers including the non-commissioned can use the force, arrest without warrant and search premises if needed. So the first statement is correct, option A is correct, but option C is incorrect. So the act also permits destruction of armed hideouts and ensures that all arrested persons are handed over to the police with proper documentation. So critically, legal immunity is provided to personnel, meaning no prosecution or legal action can be initiated without prior approval from the central government. But it's not state government, hence the option B is also wrong. So the act is applicable in parts of the northeast and has been subject of debate regarding human rights and state security, often drawing attention to the policy and legal circus. Since the correct answer is option A, then moving on to the fourth question, which talks about GPS spoofing. See, GPS spoofing is a type of cyber attack in which a GPS receiver is misled into computing incorrect location data by receiving fake GPS signals stronger than those from actual satellites. Hence, the statement 1 is correct, right? Then this technique is also called GPS simulation, can have serious implications across sectors. In navigation, it can misdirect vehicles and aircrafts. In consumer applications, it can be used to manipulate ride hailing or delivery services. More seriously, GPS spoofing threatens the critical infrastructure such as telecom networks, defense systems, and emergency services, which depend on accurate geolocation for operations and security protocols. So, as GPS-based locations often used for identity verification, geofencing, and secure access, spoofing can be exploited by bypass security, impersonate assets, and cause large-scale disruptions. So, this is a growing cybersecurity concern. Hence, the correct answer is option C, which is both 1 and 2. Moving on to the next question, which talks about the Supreme Court collegium system. See, the Supreme Court collegium system is a judicial innovation that governs the appointment and transfer of judges in the Supreme Court and High Courts. It is not mentioned in the Constitution but evolved through three landmark judgments, which are commonly known as the three judges case. So, hence, the statement 1 is wrong. Moving on. The first judge's case upheld the executive primacy. The second judge's case of 1993 introduced the collegium system, granting primacy to the judiciary. The third judge's case, finally of 1998, expanded the collegium system to include the CJI and four senior-most judges of Supreme Court. So, the collegium recommends names to the president for judicial appointments and transfers. While it has helped preserve judicial independence, the system has also faced criticism for opacity and lack of accountability, leading to debates over the reforms such as the National Judicial Appointments Commission. Hence, the statement 2 is correct and the correct answer is option B, which is 2 only. Now, moving on to the sixth question, which talks about the special category status of states. See, the special category status was introduced in the year 1969 to address the unique development challenges to certain states with hilly terrain, tribal populations, strategic borders, or economic backwardness. States with the SCS enjoyed benefits like 90-10 funding ratios, higher central grants, and tax concessions. However, following the 14th Finance Commission's recommendations in 2015, the central government increased the tax devolution to 42%, aiming for a more equitable and formula-based distribution of resources. As a result, the exclusive benefits under the SCS were discontinued for most states, retaining it only for the Northeast and three Himalayan states. Both A and R correct, but R is not the correct explanation of A. So the correct answer is option B, which is both A and R are true and R is not the correct explanation of A. Now the seventh question is in the context of the Aurangzeb's tomb. See, Aurangzeb, who died in 1707 after nearly 50 years of rule, was buried in Kuldhabad of Maharashtra rather than in a grand imperial tomb like his predecessors. So his austere open-air grave lies within the dargah of Sheikh Zainuddin, who is a revered Sufi saint of Chishti order, reflecting both his personal piety and the waning grandeur of the Mughal Empire. Hence, the option B is correct, whereas the option A is incorrect. Furthermore, this modest burial contrasts sharply with the ornate tombs of emperors like Akbar and Shah Jahan, symbolizing a shift in imperial ideology and resources. Interestingly, though Aurangzeb was an orthodox Sunni ruler who discouraged grave veneration, his choice of burial near a Sufi saint reveals a nuanced relationship with Islamic spirituality. Furthermore, the marble enclosure was a later addition by the Lord Curzon, not part of Aurangzeb's own directives. Hence, option C and option D are incorrect and the correct answer is option B. Now, the last question of the day is in the context of the PM Swanidhi scheme, which stands for PM Street Vendors Atmanirbhar Nidhi. So, what is the scheme all about? See, the PM Swanidhi scheme, which was launched by the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, aims to uplift street vendors affected by COVID-19 pandemic by providing collateral-free working capital loans of up to 10,000 rupees with a 7% interest subsidy on timely payment. It also offers cashback incentives for digital transactions and loan upgrades upon successful repayment. So the scheme includes urban, peri-urban and rural street vendors who operate within the urban local body limits, making it geographically inclusive. So the second statement is wrong. Furthermore, the eligibility covers with a certificate of vendors listed on the urban local body surveys and even left out vendors through a letter of recommendation from the urban local body or the town vending committee. Additionally, those surveyed but uncertified can get a provisional certificate via an IT platform, ensuring wider outreach and digital facilitation. Hence, the correct answer is option C, which is 1 and 3 only. So, in this video, we have discussed 8 questions from the 8 topics which we have chosen from today's Hindu, Indian Express and the PIB. We'll be back again with another video tomorrow. Thank you.